A De Pere woman is fighting the battle of her life. 43-year-old Beth Hibbard was diagnosed with breast cancer last summer. Unlike other cancer patients, the warning signs never came. It was on the advice of a friend that she took the extra step that would ultimately change her life. Tonight, a Fox 11 News special report on discovering cancer. People milling about the hallways of Pioneer Elementary in Ashwaubenon looked a little different one day earlier this fall.
It's really cool. Most people have it all dyed, or some have it sparked.
With a $1 donation, students and staff could don colorful wigs or wear crazy hairdos to help one of their own.
Good job. Okay, we're going to try some words today.
Beth Hibbard, a speech therapist, has lost her hair as she battles breast cancer.
I am shocked and grateful, and it's just an awesome thing to see how many people are so supportive of this.
Beth Hibbard was surprised to learn she had cancer after her diagnosis last June. She had no signs of it, and she's a healthy person, a runner, a swimmer, and very active. Already proactive about her breast health, she discovered her cancer because she listened to a friend. Sarah Hersher is a fellow speech therapist in the Ashwaubenon School District. The two women often shared conversations about their families, their lives, and their health. Last spring, Sarah received some devastating news of her own.
On Friday, March 13th, found out that I did have breast cancer, so.
Sarah was also proactive. She went to her doctor for mammograms, and they always came back clean.
I'd been getting mammograms since I was like 35 years old, but the mammograms didn't show it. I mean, I just had a mammogram in August, and they said it was fine.
Sarah learned not to rely solely on a mammogram. She had dense breast tissue that breast experts say can make it hard to spot cancer on a mammogram. Sarah also had a history of fibroadenomas, or benign lumps in the breast that don't always differentiate themselves from cancerous lumps. Last December, Sarah found new lumps.
And these didn't really feel any different from the other ones, actually.
Sarah went to her doctor to follow up, and in March, the situation turned serious.
After the physical exam, then I had an ultrasound. And then after the ultrasound, then they did a biopsy, a needle biopsy.
That confirmed Sarah's cancer. Right after her mid-March diagnosis, she got in touch with Beth, who she knew shared the same breast traits.
I told her my story, and I remember her emailing me saying, "Oh, my mammogram was due in July," and I'm like, "July? Are you crazy? Get in there and don't get a mammogram either. Get an ultrasound or a MRI, because." Just from my experience, you know, I just wanted her to be safe.
Sarah wouldn't rest until Beth went to see her doctor.
She highly encouraged me to also go the one step further and just make sure that they were all fibroadenomas.
Beth asked her physician for an MRI.
I was considered borderline at risk. My mother was diagnosed at an older age last year with breast cancer, which usually at an older age does not have much to do with, like, the concern about the genetic history and the genes, but with my history of the fibroadenomas plus that on top of it, she said, "Sure, let's go for it."
The doctor said insurance probably wouldn't cover the test. Beth said she'd worry about the insurance issues later and had the MRI. A couple of days later, she and her family received some shocking news.
Some of the lumps on the MRI showed some concern, so they wanted to do biopsies. And so they did a couple biopsies, and those came back cancer positive.
I couldn't believe it this June when she called me and said it was cancer. I was just shocked.
Beth's cancer was in the early stages when it was caught, and only in the right breast. But just like in her friend Sarah's case, Beth's cancer lumps could not be seen on the typical mammogram.
There's nothing obviously abnormal about this.
The MRI images showed something different.
It demonstrated that there basically was, one area of cancer in that right breast, in spite of the fact that she'd had in the past multiple other benign tumors, specifically the fibroadenomas in that right breast.
Beth went to Dr. Alonzo Walker at Frederick Hospital in Wauwatosa for surgery because some cancer remained after her first surgery. Dr. Walker removed more breast tissue and lymph nodes. Those are glands that help the body fight against things like infection. What was early and mild turned aggressive.
I had 21 lymph nodes taken out, and 15 of the 21 were positive. So it was very aggressive.
With the reported pathological size of her cancer, this is one thing that we did not expect and don't usually find.
Dr. Walker says because of that, Beth is at greater risk for other types of cancer in the future, and her doctors will need to monitor her closely. The American Cancer Society recommends all women over 40 have an annual mammogram and a breast exam. The mammogram is considered the gold standard to detect breast cancer. It detects it 80 to 90% of the time for those women who have no symptoms of the disease. So when are additional tests needed?
For women who are at high risk, so who have that personal history of breast cancer or have a history of breast cancer in their family, should be receiving an MRI.
Lori Pagel with the American Cancer Society says additional testing, whether it's an MRI or a breast ultrasound, should always be done in conjunction with the mammogram, never as a standalone screening test. Pagel says if you have any concerns, talk with your physician. It's a point local breast surgeons agree with.
Medicine isn't just cookbook. You have to have a good physician and a good relationship so that you can talk these things out. If you're uncomfortable with what you feel, you need to be able to make sure you're getting to the bottom of it so that you have some peace of mind.
Beth is currently undergoing chemotherapy, while Sarah, who had a mastectomy, completed her radiation treatments a few days ago. The women, once just friends, say now they're more like sisters.
We each know exactly what each other is going through, and I think we'll have a bond forever over this that will never change, that can never be broken.
This bond doesn't end with Beth and Sarah. The two women are sharing their story in hopes of compelling other women to be proactive.
Just be vigilant about your exams.
I want people to question their own health. I want them to question if they feel that something is different or they just don't feel right.
If you're confused about what to do about breast cancer screenings, you may want to talk with your doctor. You can also find more information on our website, fox11online.com. Tomorrow night on Fox 11 News at 9, we'll continue our profile of Beth Hibbard and what doctors say her future holds.